The New Orleans Pelicans are up next in the NBA, and here's why. The Pelicans have one of the youngest teams in the NBA, with Zion, who's only 22 years old, Brandon Ingram, who's 24 years old, Herb Jones, that's 23, and Trey Murphy, 22. Jose Alvarado is also only 24 years old, and their new rookie Dyson Daniels, who they picked up in this year's draft with the 8th pick, is also only 19 years old. Now, they're not like the Oklahoma City Thunder or something. They're all young. You know, they are basically unexperienced. The thing about the New Orleans Pelicans is their young players are like somehow like experienced. Brandon Ingram is one of those players who's young, but you feel like he has that experience that like not a lot of young players have. This whole team really has gone through a lot just this past season, really. They started off horrible. At one point, they had a 10% chance to make the playoffs. In the second half of the year, they completely turned it around. We'll get into that later. And they just battled through adversity the whole season, been through like trades and stuff, having to get new pieces, going through the playing games, going through the playoffs against a good team. Just been through a lot already. Now, the people who've already seen a lot in their career, the two main vets they have on their team, CJ McCollum, who's 30 years old, and Jonas Valanciunas, who is also 30 years old. Now, these two vets are very, very solid with their team. One is like the guard player, the other one's the center player. And CJ McCollum, automatic bucket getter. He can get you some assists too. Jonas Valanciunas, he can get you some 3-point shots. I think at one point of the season last year, he was like leading the league in 3-point percentage. Now, it didn't last very long, but Valanciunas can definitely stretch the floor when Zion comes back, and you know Zion's going to be taking up a lot of space in the paint. Valanciunas can also, you know, rebound very well alongside Zion especially. Now, I'm going to start with the downsides of the Pelicans and why I think some things might hold them back from, you know, championship contender. They have no like true point guard. CJ McCollum is definitely can play that point guard role, but I think he's better as like a shooting guard. He can get you a bucket when you want. He can definitely assist. His assisting is definitely underrated. But when they lost Lonzo last offseason, kind of hurt. You know, Lonzo and Zion were pretty nice together. Lonzo would throw like the perfect lobs for Zion. And one of the reasons, I'm not saying the main reason, why Zion was an all-star his sophomore year. But in the last year's draft, like I said before, they got Dyson Daniels, who was a 19-year-old. He's like 6'6" point guard. He can definitely play make for you if he, you know, develops and everything. And as we've seen in the past, these Pelicans rookies are definitely developing well. Look out for Dyson Daniels in the coming future. I believe he was a very nice pickup for the Pelicans in the draft. Him and Zion could be nice as a duo, you know, throwing lobs and everything. Now, I'm not going to act like I know a lot about Dyson Daniels. I never watched a game of his. I don't think I have. And in the G League, I don't know. The G League stats were kind of all over the place. I looked somewhere and it was telling me one thing, and I looked somewhere else. The stats were kind of different. So the stats that I have that I'm showing on the screen right now might be different than you know. If you do know if they were better or worse, let me know in the comments below. But he does look very solid of a player. I think he can develop nicely in the Pelican system. And who knows, he can be the point guard of their future. Now, the defense on this team is probably one of the stronger areas for, you know, the Pelicans. Zion has always been a solid defender, especially in Duke. He's been a shot blocker. He can get you like 2 blocks a game if you really wanted to. He can leap out the building, so, you know, he can jump that high. We all know he has a big body. He's not going to let nobody out-muscle him in the low post or anything. He can get some steals once in a while. His perimeter defense has not always been his best, but he's not going to be playing the perimeter, obviously, when he's a power forward. Herb Jones, one of my favorite young players last season, is a spectacular defender. He has long arms, he's quick. If you get some muscle onto him, he can definitely be like a top 5 defender in the league in the coming future. Watch out for Herb Jones. Trey Murphy is a pretty decent defender. I wouldn't put him on like, you know, garbage level, but I also wouldn't put him above like Herb Jones on the Pelicans or anything. When he's committed, he can definitely hold his own on that side of the ball. But as we know, they have better defenders on the team, so he's probably not going to be guarding the best player anyways. As we also saw in like the second half of the season last year in the playoffs and the play-in and everything, Jose Alvarado, very solid defender. He would sneak around the corner and, you know, come out of nowhere and steal the ball from inbounds and everything. But he's a very solid defender, like I said. He can hold his own. He'll keep you in front of him most of the time. When he was guarding Chris Paul in the playoffs, he did a pretty decent job. But at times, you know, it is Chris Paul. He's going to Hall of Famer player. He's going to score on you at some point. Chris Paul had his moments, but Jose Alvarado definitely held his own against a Hall of Famer player. And Alvarado's pretty nice. What's holding it back is his 6-foot frame. He's kind of skinnier, and that can hold him back at times when he's going against bigger guards. But when he's not guarding those bigger guards, he's pretty nice. and I definitely want him on my team. By going into the team statistics for the Pelicans on the defensive end last year, they were 9th in defensive rating after All-Star break, and even at one point, they were 1st in defensive rating, 1st in opponent field goal percentage and 3-point percentage, and at one point they were 2nd in turnovers forced, and throughout all of the second half of the year, they were 1st in steals. Pelicans defense is definitely not nothing to play with, and they get Zion next season. Watch out on that side of the ball. Now very quickly, we're going to cover the coach of Willie Green. He's very nice. Last season was his first head coaching job, and what did he do? He led them to the play-in 9th seed and went on to win both games in the play-in and go to the playoffs. Now Willie Green did this all without their best player in Zion Williamson. Did this with changes going on with the roster, with CJ McCollum traded and other trades going on. And he did this, built up a culture in New Orleans where they wanted to win. They believe that they can win, and they did that in the play-in and a little bit in the playoffs, and want to do it next season and onward. Now Zion Williamson has only had one healthy season out of his last 3 years of the NBA career. That's unfortunate, but hopefully next year will be another healthy year for Zion. In his only healthy season, which was the 2020-2021 season, he averaged 27 points per game, 61% from the field, about 7 rebounds per game, and about 4 assists per game, and was an all-star. Now that is superstar status in only one healthy season. Now imagine what his prime will look like in the next coming years. Brandon Ingram averaged about 23 points per game, 6 rebounds, and about 5.5 assists on 46% from the field. Those are very solid numbers for Brandon Ingram, and when Zion comes back, he's going to be demanding more attention on the defensive side of the ball. So Brandon Ingram will probably be getting more shots, more open shots at least, and probably going to be more efficient from the field. Now CJ McCollum last season, just with the Pelicans, it was like 30 games, averaged 24 points per game, about 6 assists per game on 49% from field, 39% from 3, and about a steal a game. Those are insanely good stats after just coming into a new system, new players, new roster, completely new coaching staff. That is amazing stats. Basically sparked new hope into the Pelicans fans and players. They can win, they can make the playoffs, the play-in, and he did that. Very important that he did that, and now the Pelicans are on the rise. This trio basically has it all. Brandon Ingram has, the scoring. He can pull up from mid-range 3. He can finish at the rim. Zion has the low post offense. He can play a little bit of interior defense. CJ McCollum has basically the all-around offensive game. He can play make. He can finish mid-range 3-point shot, and he's a very efficient shooter as well. The only thing this trio is really missing is a very nice perimeter defender. Brandon Ingram can be that a little bit. CJ McCollum's not really that, and that can hold them back. But the thing is, they have Herb Jones and Jose Alvarado on their team. Now, to show the importance of CJ McCollum even more, last season when the Pelicans started 23-36 and only had a 10% chance to make the playoffs, the Pelicans went out and got CJ McCollum from the Trailblazers, and the Pelicans went 13-10 after All-Star break. Doesn't sound like incredible, like blow you away or anything. But during that 13-10 stretch after All-Star break, Brandon Ingram missed 13 of those games. But when Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum were in the lineup together, they were 8-2 during that time period. 8-2 is something that does blow you away. These two players together win way more often than when they're not. And then next season, when you add Zion into that mix, and then you have these young players like Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, and Dyson Daniels, and Jose Alvarado, all these players coming in a year under the belt except for Dyson Daniels, even with the playoffs and everything, this team is going to be scary. And it's not like during the playoffs or playing or whatever you want to say, the important games, they choked and that's why they lost or anything. They were just going against better teams. But when they weren't, like in the playing game, like the Spurs when they beat them, CJ McCollum put up 32 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds on 52% from the field and 60% from the 3-point line. And alongside him, Ingram put up 27, 5 assists, 5 rebounds on 58% from the field. Those are all-star superstar numbers in a very important game. Your season's on the line. Now the very next game where they went against the Clippers to actually make the playoffs, their season on the line still, Brandon Ingram clutched up 30 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, 67% from the field, and the Pelicans made the playoffs after being given a 10% chance to do so at one point in the season. Pelicans battled adversity all last year and still prevailed and made the playoffs without their best player, and to think he's on the way next year with these young players more experience, the whole year under the belt. And Willie Green, you know, another year under his belt, more experience with this roster. This team is going to be scary in the coming future. Watch out for the Pelicans. And that's really all I got to say. If you agree or you disagree or you're on the fence with what I'm saying, put it down in the comments below. Let's have a conversation. Be respectful. And if you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe button, and notification bell if you want to be notified as soon as I upload. I appreciate all the love and views and likes and everything y'all are giving me in the past couple videos. I really appreciate it. And I hope to see you in the next one. Peace out.